YouTube world. This is very obviously a photograph that was sent to me by the lovely Heather Mader as a bit of a challenge to try and do a acrylic pour that represents this picture. And you can see that there's so many colours in this picture: yellow and blue in the sky, green, lavender, all sorts of colours. And I took up the challenge. So this is the first of a few paintings where I embark on using pictures as reference, and I hope you enjoy it. Also, this is how I'm going to show the colours that I use at the beginning of every video now, because I'm very conscious that some people really want to know what you're using and how you mix your paints and what you put in them. Others just want to skip right on to the video. So they'll be shown like this, and all you need to do if you're interested is pause the video, write the colours down and move on. So right from the beginning, I decided to do a black base coat, which probably was a mistake. Maybe it would have been better to do a blue violet kind of a colour, but here you go. I was quite happy with the end results, although it didn't really resemble this picture here. So for the flip cups, top flip cup is the darkest of those yellows, darkest hues. And the middle flip cup, I just decided to put a few squirts of the golden fluid orange just to beef one of the colours up. This is the one that I put the white in for the burst of sunlight. But that's what I do with a lot of golden fluids, is I literally add a few drops here and there to certain colours just to make them more saturated or knock them back, depending on what I'm doing. That's the small flip cup with a bit of green, phthalo green and black. So flip them over. Suddenly realised that I have to do it left-handed because I didn't want that paint there in that small flip cup to go into the black, but it does really kind of mixed in. So paint catcher, tilting really slowly. Obviously you appreciate that this is speeded up. I'm injecting some paint there. That was milk paint and ultramarine blue for that corner of blue in the sky, but it didn't work. It was a waste of time. So I'm just covering that background there to make the paint flow a little bit better. For flip cup, I've started to thicken my paints up just a tad, but actually I think they could probably go a little bit thicker. I don't necessarily want lots of reactions in flip cups. I want them to stay where they are, and I don't want lots of cells, but that's what I get with yellow. So I'm going to go with a swipe colour. Here we go with the blue violets and the rose, phthalo green. That's one of the other pinks mentioned at the beginning. That is PBO. I think it's bright green, kind of like a 351. I'll list it in the description. I'm sorry if that's wrong. And you can see I've put quite a lot of colour down there, which might have been a mistake too. I've cut my paper towels at an angle so I can swipe down towards the bottom left hand corner, various shapes and sizes. But because I had a lot of paint down, I decided to swipe with a dry paper towel, which was a mistake because I've got bare canvas there on the top edge. Lesson learnt there, eh? Quick torch, and I just start playing. Sometimes I just throw caution to the wind and get a little bit painterly with it. Ultramarine Can never say that word. Ultramarine blue going in, more greens, and I just swipe away. This time with a damp paper towel. And there's some lovely things that begin to happen that when it's wet, I'm really pleased with. Doesn't that look stunning as it is, apart from obviously the bits I haven't swiped yet? But I was really pleased, I was. And oh, I'll go and add more blue. Ultramarine blue is not a colour that I use often, and I have used it in a couple of paintings recently, and I will avoid using it again. Personal preference. Too saturated for me, which obviously I can add another colour to sort that out. But I was really pleased with what I did here. But sadly, it didn't dry like this. And really, I'm using the paper towel there as a bit of a brush. To bring some of that purple through. It looks lovely, doesn't it? Well, I liked it anyway. I'm back. I was in love with this painting until it dried. I don't know if you can see. Well, first of all, the white just went there. I'm not worried about that because I'm going to pull that back out with some very pale yellow. Obviously the paint injection didn't work with the ultramarine blue, which is no bad thing. I got some textures. I don't know if you can see. It's probably because there was a lot of paint left on the canvas, but I really like kind of textured effect. But the biggest thing is completely lost all these colours. So I probably made a mistake using the ultramarine blue to swipe with. Even the green's gone. But I'm going to carry on and do the embellishment over the top. The way I do this, good old tracing paper over the top. I've got here on my iPad my reference picture. I've got two pencils. One is a HB hard and one is a soft 4B. So with the HB, literally all I'm going to do is sketch in what I want to do. It's not going to be quite exactly the same, but I'm just going to mark the trees as to where I want them to go. Just making marks. Very often when you're drawing, it's good to observe the negative space that you've got. You know, you can concentrate on the overall shapes, but it's good to also to take note of the space around shapes as well. Not so much probably when you're drawing trees like this. But you can see the picture slowly begins to build up. And my horizon line is at a slightly different angle to this one. That's no great shapes really. Let's get this second tree in. So you're just looking to see where things line up with, you know. Your eye is continually scanning your picture. What I'm going to do now is use the soft pencil, just go over the back. So it should, in theory, give you a basis to go back over with your sharp pencil. Basic faint outlines again. It's got a very faint outline there, so what I'm going to do, at least I got the rough position of sharpen my pencil. Squeaky chair. At least I've got the rough position of where I want things to go, and I can just concentrate on the shapes. It's worth doing this rather than just jumping straight in with a brush. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint the trees in. If you look at the picture here, then you see they're all black. But if you look closely, there are some subtle differences. When I do an acrylic painting, I use a limited colour palette, which I'm not going to go into too much detail now, but I am going to mix burnt umber, heavy bodied, with ultramarine blue. And you will see that you get a pretty decent black. It's not black, but it's not far off. Could probably add a bit more blue to that actually. So it's good just to do it bit by bit, just add it in little small bits. So I've got a very, very dark grey. It's not quite black, but it passes black. And the reason why I do that is because I'll use this as a base. And then at the very end, I will go in with some Mars black and blacken up the bits that I really want to make black. I will also add some titanium white. Now, if you don't have a really good titanium white, heavy bodied, and you want to embellish your paws or enhance your paws, then it's good to have a heavy bodied paint on standby, because this is white and thick and lovely, and I absolutely love it. And at the very end of a painting, I will go over and I will whiten the whitest whites sometimes with a palette knife, just put it straight on, and I will go with the blackest blacks. And work over the top. So hopefully this will be a little time lapse to show you very quickly what I do. Just before I do that, I'm getting sidetracked here. Just going to take some of this raw umber and the black and a bit of white, just in case I want to add paler hue, paler colour to some of the trees. There we go. So I have a dark brown, blacky grey. There we go. So I'm just going to point out here, this is actually just some titanium white mixed with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of the raw umber. Burnt umber, sorry. I was getting mixed up between the two. When I'm painting, I don't necessarily want it to be blend in seamlessly. I want it to look as if I'm putting brush strokes over the top. So very often I'll put quite thick paint on and just blend it in a little bit with my finger. Because sometimes it just adds a little bit of texture to your painting. And I've got lots of textury bits going on anyway with whatever happened to the paint. So just adding to the effect really. So what I'll do, when that's dry, I'll go in with some white just to really liven that a little bit up. Also, keep stepping away from your easel, really important. Because you can see where you need to add more. So this is where the sun's really bursting through here. But I'm still only using the shapes that have been created with the actual acrylic pour. Which you probably don't see on the video. I've just gone in there and used my paler black with a little bit of the burnt umber mixed in and white, and I've just picked out the trees that I can see in the distance, because obviously they are less saturated than the trees, the big trees that are in the foreground. So I will probably go over those, because with acrylic paint you build it up in layers, especially going over quite a smooth shiny surface. Obviously this hasn't been varnished, obviously. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in with a little bit of green actually. And I'm going to do that by mixing, wait for it, some of my made up black with yellow. Oh, it's hailing outside now. The differences are very subtle, which I'm okay with that. So this is the finished painting. Obviously it's nothing like really the original picture. I regret a few things about the swipe, but I might do it again in the future. You never know. I just don't feel like it at the moment. I'm really pleased with that sky. Going close to the little painting that I've just done across the horizon line. It's not quite dry, so it's a bit shiny. But that's what I would call an impressionist technique. So a little bit Monet-esque, where you're dabbing the paint on, you're standing back, you're using long brushes. It's a loose technique, paying attention to the lights, the darks, the colours in the background, colours in the foreground. So that little bit of the painting has got quite a lot of depth. So is the sky. So thank you for watching. I apologise for it being slightly longer video. I will try and cut out as much as I can. Thanks guys.